Energy Chief Executive Officer, who says no more government subsidies for his industry, the wind industry. Here's exactly what he says. The industry produces a product that isn't as efficient or cheap as it might be if we focus less on working the political system and more on research and development. Joining us now is Patrick Jenevein. He's the CEO of the Tang Energy Group. Patrick, what a pleasure to have you with us this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
What exactly, what kind of research and development do you want to see? What kind of research, what would help your industry?
If executives spend more time with their engineers rather than the accountants and lawyers, actually developing new products rather than spending, and you can understand the reason there's so much money in subsidies, that the executive suite spends most of their time thinking about the subsidies and their access to them rather than what engineers may be suggesting as far as innovations.
If you took away the subsidies from your company, for example, you just took them away, you don't get any more money from anybody outside, certainly from the government, could you swim?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Wind is a great idea in windy areas where people need electricity. The result of the policies have been that wind farms have gone to less windy areas, and as you go to a less windy area, you have to charge more for every kilowatt hour or unit of electricity that people buy to be able to make a return, to make a competitive return.
What does the Tang Energy Group make?
Mostly we make blades for wind turbines, but we also develop wind farms. We make the blades for wind turbines in China, and we develop wind farms in the U.S.
Now, it seems to me that there's two problems with wind energy. Wind's a great idea, but there's two problems with the electricity it produces. Number one, you can't store it. So when the wind really blows and you're really generating a lot of juice, you can't store it. And number two, you can't transmit it over the power lines without losing a lot of the juice that you've created in the first place. Am I right?
You're absolutely right. Electricity is very difficult to store. We've been working on battery, not we, but Americans and people all over the world have been working on electricity storage and batteries for years and years and years. Storage happens very well in a natural gas pipeline. It happens very efficiently in your car gas tank. It happens very efficiently with water behind a hydroelectric dam. There are plenty of ways to store energy very efficiently. Electricity is just not one of them.
Are we close? If we've done all this research over all these years, are we even close?
Oh, I can't answer that. There are people that have invested in battery technologies much more than I have, and they make tremendous advances. Our better advances have been in reducing the amount of electricity that your iPhone needs or that any electrical component needs. But there are folks that can answer that question better than I.
But I could see your argument, though. If you did focus on research and development and you came up with a battery, a storage mechanism for electricity, your wind turbine blade business would really take off, because then it would be economical to put turbines in areas where there's not that much wind, but when the wind blows, you can store what you produce. I understand your point.
Well, thank you.
I'm sorry, somebody was in my ear. I missed your comment. Would you repeat that, please?
I said thank you.
Oh, yeah, okay, you're welcome.
Storage will always be difficult, and wind makes sense in windy areas. It makes a lot of sense in windy areas where people have a hard time connecting to a grid. You know, if you can't get to other sources of electricity, wind is a really good solution. But even coal-fired plants, gas-fired plants, produce electricity much more reliably. We need to decide as Americans, as people around the world, if we want to sustain an industry, if we want to sustain communities. You know, sustaining communities is actually much better for our business in the long run. We tend to forget that our ratepayers are also taxpayers, and when you wind up sending money through subsidies, you turn the ratepayers and taxpayers into double payers for the same product.
Patrick, you are a breath of fresh air. Forgive the pun, but we really appreciate you being with us today. Thank you, sir. Come again, okay?
Thank you for having me. Thank you.